So it turns out the Plomplepop movie was a massive success and it's made the park ridiculously busy, meaning that the second expansion to the area is actually totally worth it. Now the park has already pulled together many of the Plomplepop tropes, the playground, the town, to an extent the laboratory, and an indoor version of the world that he lives in, but there are some bits that are still missing, notably his house. So it's just as well that the second phase of the planning application was to install a new junior coaster themed to that then, wasn't it? And don't worry, by the way, the next application for the Plomplepop area expansion has just gone in. Oh, Sarah! Hello you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, welcome back to Fustastica. As always, I really do appreciate you coming along for the ride. And you are joining us at the expansion of the Plomplepop land. And if you are new to all of this, Professor Plomplepop is a cartoon character made up many years ago for an earlier series. And over the years, he's developed into an actual thing and now he has an entire land because last week we built this ride. You also saw last week, by the way, me work myself into an absolute tiz towards the end of the episode. We're going to talk about that in a moment. However, first, we've got this little bad boy to deal with. It's Junior's first little coaster. So it's quite a drawn out affair, but it is a junior coaster. As I said, keeping it simple with a station, lift hill, first swooping turn, and then into lots of like helixy style turns into the brake run. It's running 2 trains at the moment. It could probably only run 1 train. It's got a long enough train, but it could cope with 2 because the cycle is actually quite long. And I have, of course, swapped out the trains for the generic trains. Thank you, Update 3. Now, also thank you, Update 3, because yeah, the track rides have had a prestige nerf, and I'm happy about this because this train originally had a prestige of, I think, 1600, 1400, something like that. I don't know why that's closed. That should be open. Let's open that. And now it's not. However, what that does mean is that I designed our Plomple ride, there it is, our Plomple ride there, to have a prestige of 1000, and it's not, it's currently the devil's number, so thank you, Frontier. But it's all good, because this is how we're going to go. Right, let me talk you through what I'm thinking for this area, because, as I said last week, I didn't really know what the layout of this area is going to be. So let me get my trusty gravel, and I will talk you through what I'm thinking. So if I can get the queue to come round this way and through here, I've then got this space to put the queue line in, and I could potentially also bring it around here if I wanted to as an extension. And then of course I just need to make all of this bit make sense. In terms of the exit, I think the exit is probably going to come round this way, and then we are going to have a photo unit or something here, which I can then double up as a food unit on the back side, so it's kind of serving some kind of services and stuff for the area. It's a relatively small addition in terms of budget wise. It's something that the park would want to do, and of course the park would probably have some kind of aspirations to make this area of the car park a second entrance, a second gate where you could actually close off the rest of the Plomplepop area during closed season and just have this open if you wanted to. A little bit like Alton Towers does its pirate stuff. I kind of figured that that's what the park might do in the future, particularly as we might be moving the car park to these fields. We've always said that that's the case because they're bigger, right? So that frees up this space for future development. The stage, I'm toying with how this is. I wanted to fit in an extra ride, and it needed to be a small ride, so that's the Helter Skelter. And the stage in this area, I think it's going to work, right? I can make the pathway come around here, enter into the stage, and still have the Helter Skelter. Now, let's also talk about the conundrum that I worked up last week, because I put these in as fascias, right? So literally the other side of the wall is something useful. It's something usable. In this case, it's the exit of the ride, or in this case, it's the actual ride itself, or the queue. And I didn't think that we needed to make this functional. I'm going back on that idea. However, the problem is, well, I've got 3 options. I either make them functional as a walk-in restaurant, I make them functional as a grab-and-go unit, or I do nothing. So, here's the consequence. If I make it functional as a grab-and-go unit, I just need to free up 4 meters. That's essentially taking those 2 out of the road, moving this down here like that, and this down here like that, And then all I need to do is make this 4 meters wider, right? That's option number 1. Well, that's actually option number 2, because option number 1 is do nothing. So that's making them a grab and go unit. What that then means is I'm going to need to extend everything. So the hotel needs to come out, as do these as well. The other one is if I want to make it functional and walk in, I actually need to free up more space, and I need to do 4 meters. And that then leaves me with another problem, because the idea of the street is it's supposed to be in line. These two buildings, they're designed to be that size. They don't. I can stretch it to being 4 meters wider. I don't think I can stretch it to be 8 meters wider. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to probably design for the bin, and yeah, well, basically I'm just going to design for the bin. I will see you for the next update where I actually tell you what I do. I don't even know myself, so let's find out, shall we? Let's find out together. Alright, I've been doing some playing. I'm not quite ready to show you that because there's not much to show, but I've now sized up this entire area. I am far clearer with what I want to do, and I am going for option 2, and that's the grab and go units, which means I'm going to need to extend the building. I was really keen to not just extend the building because it's already fairly big on the sightline, and if I go any bigger and just lazily extend it, I'm going to end up in this situation where I've got the Viking bit. Now, we know that that was to do with scale rather than bloat, but yeah, I've decided that the grab and go units are the way forward. Now I know that there's a precedent set everywhere in the world of streets where buildings will just jut out into the path and then the road will morph around it, but I didn't want that for this. I want this to be one long continuous row of colour and row of stuff. So that means that the buildings are going to need extending. So yeah, I showed you the 3 options. Do nothing, the grab and go unit, which involves a 4 meter, or the full sit-in restaurant, which involves 8 meters. I think 8 meters is just too much. So this is what I need to do, because we're going to do this as a live play, sort of, and I'm going to go away and then tidy it up. So I have already reduced, you saw this earlier on, reduced the size of the road, and I think this road is too big anyway. I've always thought that, so I'm happy to move it back. So I'm going to move this back down here. That gives me that 4 meters that I'm going to need for the space. That also means then that the pathway here, that needs to go. Remember, this is all walkable, by the way. So this isn't like I'm cutting down the walkable. Well, I am cutting down the walkable space, but there's already enough space to walk in. So I'm going to bring this here. Now, this means that all of the path stuff in front also needs to be moved. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this in one clean motion. I don't think it's going to let me, but we're going to give it a go. It might actually, you know. Let's just move this. Oh, wait, it's going to. There you go. So we're going to move, well, as much as I need to anyway, has now been moved. That then means I need to bring all the shop fronts and stuff out. So I'm going to take all of these and all of these. I think that's all the buildings. I'm going to take these and these. And I'm now going to bring this out another 4 meters like that. Of course, it's not brought everything. I've got like tidy up and stuff that I need to do. And then this also needs to come out to 4 meters like that. And I mean, this road is now feeling more comfortable. I'm happy with that. If I'd have done it 8 meters, I would have needed to create some kind of like tight space here. It just wasn't going to work. So I think 4 is probably the right way around. And it now also means this bit I kind of like as a little bit of a plaza area, a small plaza area, because I can put picnic benches and stuff outside here, and I can actually keep the gift shop the size that it was intended. So I'm actually kind of happier with that as a solution rather than doing 8 meters or leaving it. So hopefully you guys are going to agree. What that now means is I can put in the actual facilities. So if I edit this building and facilities, I can put in, so this is a burger shop, right? So of course it's going to be hot dogs. No, it's going to be it's going to be chief beef. So I can now put probably actually, can I put, I don't know if I'm just going to put it in, right? So I can put burgers in there. And I can put some kind of drink. Let's just say Gulpy for now. This one, I don't really know what it's going to be because I'm going to have an ice cream shop elsewhere. But Nos is Nosh. It's going to be probably pizza. I'm thinking, no, you know what? I'm going to eat vegan. Let's do vegan shop. very kid-like, isn't it? Veganism. There you go. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. That now means that I've got this usable space inside here, and I'm happy with that. It's going to need so much tidying up. So that's what I'm going to go and do. That's the decision I've made. I just wanted to talk through what I'm doing without mumbling, even though I've mumbled. Anyway, see you in a minute. Oh, well, unlike last week, this is probably going to be one of those underwhelming middle parts of the episodes. I'm sorry for that. However, there is quite a lot that we can talk about because I have fixed the problem down here, and I've not even left it as a midpoint done kind of thing. I've just fixed it outright, and I'm finished, and I'm done with it. So we now have food units down here. We've got Bunsen burger. It's actually burgers. We've got this one here. I've actually turned it into pizza pen and pip shot. There you go, pizza pen and pip shot. And then Nos is Nosh. I decided to change it from vegan, and I actually went for hot dogs and slush hour instead. And I've also swapped it out for the kiosk style food units rather than the main units, only because I wanted to have the detail and stuff that you can see when you use the food units. So that's what I've done here. Then this other building, I actually ended up using the amazing arcade stuff and just making it an arcade that had like a one-way out this way, because of course people are going to be leaving the ride exit this way, and they need to go and see the photos and stuff. So even though he's about to go through, it's fine. So yeah, that's what I've done, and then I quite like it now sticking out, and this plaza area just sort of works. So happy. I'm all right with that. Let's just pretend that it was never wrong. I also realised, by the way, this fence here was too tall, so I've also corrected that, and it's now a shorter fence. Let's also pretend that that was a thing. So, the roller coaster. Well, I hate the colours, and that must mean that it's actually okay. So, we're good with it. I mean, it's been many different colours. It's currently pink and blue. Whether it changes again, I just don't know. But the queue line, I think, is what's causing me the most jip. And I think it's because it's still dirt rather than grass. I think when we put grass down, it's gonna feel fine. However, this is supposed to be like a garden path. So, you're being led down the garden path, so to speak, and you're going to end up at a comically sized house, because he lives in a comically sized house, and he also has a comically sized mailbox. Let's not poke holes. It's a cartoon. We don't poke holes in the logic, particularly as no one so far has pointed out that a professor who's apparently intelligent enough to invent gummies that he can throw at you is illiterate and can't spell laboratory, and also can't spell shopping list. So let's just not, shall we? So the station itself, I'm happy with, right? The Cadnam Castle station felt like it was like a, I don't know, it was just there. The whole show piece was the shops, or were the shops, right, in Cadnam Castle, and the house felt like it was an afterthought. So I've changed that, and we now have actual things. And again, we don't poke holes in scale because it's a cartoon. So there, but we now have a scene, and it's a living room scene here. I've just copied the stuff across, by the way, from the dark ride, other than the sofa. I found that on the workshop. Yeah, so I've just copied it across, and it actually fits quite nicely. I like the idea of walking through his front door down here, and then walking up the ramp, and then into his living room, and there's the scene. And then the other side is a kitchen scene, just for the exit of the ride. And again, I've just copied across the textures and stuff from the dark ride, just so it's consistent. And then over here, we also do have bits on the walls and the balcony from the dark ride as well, because remember that the whole station of the dark ride was supposed to be his house, or you start off in his house, so it should look the same. So I've copied that across also with the windows as well. Some work that still needs to be done inside here, but I'm largely happy with it. And of course you've got the baggage hold here. I think it's to scale. I think it works. I don't think this is too tall. I haven't actually checked. I probably should. So anyway, that's fine. And then this side, I wanted this to be a garden shed, right? Because it's going to be an ice cream shack. So it's my ice cream shed. And it's going to have Gelato Bros and Cosmic Cow in there. So that's what's going to happen. It's also going to be attached to the photo unit. I wanted it to be one comically sized garden shed. So that's what we're going for here. And I love it, right? I absolutely adore it. And then we've got the fence along here. That's supposed to be the perimeter fence, you know, like picket fence. Don't want it to be tall because we've got tall fences elsewhere. So it's going to just be a normal picket fence. And because we're using yellow and red as the picket fence for the area, that kind of makes sense. It's a little bit of continuity that's going on. However, this is the bit down here that I want to do a live play on, because we've got a stage, and it's the actual seating area itself. This bit here is made up of just this little modular unit that I've pulled together. So this would be where you would sit. This is just a barrier to protect you from the level below. And then, of course, it sits on a concrete plinth. And then it's copied across copied across, and then the middle here, you've just got some steps. So I need to put the step lines and stuff on here. It needs fine detailing and whatever. And I also want to lower it down. However, I also want to do the stage. So this is the stage. I've copied it across from the dark ride, and this is the laboratory. So I do kind of want the laboratory to feel like it's consistent with everything else that we have done. So let me just, what's going on here? There we go. Up. Like that, please. Thank you. And I also need a stage itself, right? So I've used plaster for everything else, so that makes sense. I think I'm just going to use plaster again, because that's a decent enough staging thing, I think. So it's always the off-gridded plaster piece. Where would you be if you're going to be hiding? Because that's the gridded piece. Where are you? That's the half width one, so there you go, there it is. Line it to surface. There we go. So, I'm taking inspiration, by the way, from Valley Fair's whole stage. And I kind of want to drop this down into the ground eventually. So, I'm thinking that's probably enough width of a stage, because when I copy this across, I don't know if I'm going to keep it yellow, by the way. It's brought it across because that's the same texture I've used on the house, on the interior, and I actually quite like it like that. I want to have a staff exit this way, or like a staff entrance this way, and then maybe some kind of room at the back for getting changed and whatever. So I'm happy with that. The other thing, by the way, that I want to do is to have some kind of lighting rig, and we've got the support stuff for that, haven't we? So support. It's this one I want to use, and I'm going to scale it up. There we go, because this is going to be a pretty decent lighting rig. So if I now move this up here to like that, and then like that, I then think the box support, this one, support pillar, there's a bigger one, isn't there, than that? Yeah, there it is. So I want that to come along here and rest on the top, and then like so. And this is then going to house the special effects and the lights and stuff. I don't know if it needs to be taller. I'm probably going to need to check from the seating area. I think it's okay, but it's going to be. I want to be able to see the whole of the stage, right? So that's, yeah, I don't know. And in case you're wondering, by the way, these all need to be, I can't remember how I did this. Are they all attached to each other? These will all need to be sunk down. So this is at ground level, because as you can see, I have included an area for our disabled friends to sit or to view a viewing platform. And I think you put those there anyway. So I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and move this down as well. And I don't actually know where it needs to be, but that's fine. Let's not poke holes. And then I'm just going to lower the terrain so that you can sort of see what I'm trying to get at. There we go. So this is the kind of vibe that I'm going for. And then if I just level this out, you should... I think I've lowered the stage too far, haven't I? That's fine. We can bring it up again. Like so. There you go. That's the kind of vibe. I think that's probably a bit close, isn't it? Let's move it back a little bit. There you go. That's the kind of vibe that I'm going for here. I think I need to go and tidy this up a little bit, don't I? Let's be honest. So, I'll see you in a minute. I think the barriers have stopped working, but Plomplepop has a house. Ah, yes, guys, I am so chuffed. I'm so excited to show you this one because phase 2 of the Plomplepop project is complete. Look at it. Yes, 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 yes. Right, let's do the honours, shall we? Let's officially open it. There you go. We are officially open. Done and done. Yes. Right. Where do I begin? Where do I begin? This has fitted in so well with the street. So well with the street. Like, coming down here, now that I've actually fixed the street, it looks like it's got a little bit of a personality. And this whole green tarmac along here, it just works. And it just needs to work, right? And the idea is it's just supposed to be grass. That's the other side of the road. And actually, yeah, I'm alright with it. It's a plaza, it's walkable, and it's great. The queue line looks decent, and his little mailbox just fits this nice little viewpoint. Ah, yes. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. The queue, of course, is supposed to be going through his garden, so I've put lots of stuff around, lots of clutter, lots of like garden-y type stuff, you know, the flowers and the trees and the Plomplepop stuff. Say stuff some more. I love it. Right, it's just, I can't wait for this to get a queue. It's going to be great. So the actual coaster itself, it's probably changed colour again, actually. I think it's a different colour again. But I have put the little gummy on the top. I kind of wanted this to feel like it was an adventure with a gummy that's being thrown around the garden or something. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I do have a plan for a coaster that does include the gummies, like as a proper gummy themed coaster, so watch this space on that one. And then over in the actual ride area here, I just put a massive Plomplepop. Of course, you're going to need to go past him at some point. That's just a staple, right? That's just a given. The actual house itself looks decent. Like, I don't really want it to be any more than this. I could do all sorts of other stuff to it, and again, we don't poke holes in logic as to why the windows are different on the outside as to the inside. It's fine. But here is the hallway, and as you walk up through this way, there is the scene that you get from his, let me just change the camera, the living room. There you go. So, I mean, it's so much better than Cadlam Castle, isn't it? So much better. And of course, you can see the kitchen from the other side, but I have actually tidied it up and stuff, and it's aligned to the exit ramp. Lots of tidying up actually has happened in this space, and I'm happy with it, right? I'm actually really happy with it. And then here, the actual station itself, yeah, it now makes sense with the ceiling. I was going to have open ceiling, right? I had every intention of it being completely open, and yeah, it didn't work. Just didn't work. I couldn't actually get the roof pieces to align properly, and I had bits sticking through, so I've ended up actually just doing a ceiling and putting some lights in to make it actually light in the station. I think I actually prefer it this way. I think it looks all right. I did check this out, by the way. This is okay. I mean, adults riding it can put their stuff on the top shelf, and kids can put their stuff here. So we're all good in that aspect. And then, of course, the scale here is just completely wrong, but it's supposed to be like that because it's a cartoon. So this would be like the upper levels where bedrooms and stuff, bathrooms and whatever would be. So yeah, I like it, right? I actually dig it in here. I think it's cool. I think it's so much better than Cadlam Castles. 100% happy with that. Like, without a doubt. Without a doubt. The Helter Skelter, I don't know what colour this was when we last updated, but ultimately the Helter Skelter is in. I don't love the colours, right? I don't think they fit in with the other stuff that I've got over here, but at the same time, it doesn't need to. Did think about theming it as a lighthouse. I did think about doing some other stuff, and I just couldn't fit it into the story, so it's just here, and it is what it is. But of course, you've got the blue tarmac and stuff down. I'm happy with that, and the extra fences and stuff. I love it. Absolutely love it. There's the show building, by the way, for the show, because it didn't actually fit behind the stage, particularly as I needed it to work with the road that we've got here. And from down this side, you can sort of like see into the park and stuff, which is fine. Right, I'm okay with that. We're not Universal, we're not Disney, we don't need to hide sightlines and stuff. But it just needed, I don't know, more space to breathe. And especially when I put the seats and stuff in here, it just didn't feel like a place was available to have some kind of backstage. So I've actually put that here. I'm toying, by the way, with the idea of connecting the back of this unit to the car park here for the staff, right? Because at the moment, if they want to go from the staff rooms and stuff, they actually have to go the long way around. So I think I need to find different ways of connecting this to the park. I think there's probably some kind of space here for a road. And as I said, I think I can probably put some kind of access point down here. But anyway, that's a Tomorrow Me problem. We'll deal with that later. This is the show. Love this. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I did originally have like sunscreens and stuff up because this is facing the sun. So I've got my camera set to, or my sun set to 1 o'clock at the moment. And as you can see, that's where the midday sun would be. That's quite intense. So I did have sunshades and stuff. But you then couldn't see the stuff that happens on the top here. And there's a lot of effects that happen here. We've got, well, you saw them, right? You saw the smoke, you saw the confetti, you saw the lights, you saw the bubbles and everything. With the sunshades, you couldn't actually see the stuff that was going on up here. And the height that they needed to be to see that stuff, it no longer had value. There was no point having that stuff there, or it was no point having the sunshade because it was just too tall and the shade was actually being cast here instead. So it was just pointless. So I took them out. I'm okay with that decision. I don't hate it. You do have a shaded spot here with the trees, and I have tried to use trees to create some shade. I think I might try and do some different trees along here. That might help a little bit, but for now, you just got a couple of trees that are doing that. But of course, you've got all the staple stuff that you would find down here for a stage that would be used for a show that represents Plomplepop. So of course, you've got the characters, you've got the props that we use, you've got the gummies. I love it, right? This has just turned out so well. And I'm so glad I decided to do the terrain change. I was originally going to have all of this at like ground level and then have steps going up to the seats and whatever. So it's still going to be on an incline, but it wasn't going to be buried into the ground. But I'm actually glad that I did bury it into the ground. I think it works. I think it fits absolutely perfectly. And then of course you've got the ice cream shed. I have reservations about this now. I kind of wish I just made it a shack and actually could have kept it as a garden shed, like as a small garden shed. But do you know what? I actually do like the design as it is. So I'm not mad. I don't hate it, but I kind of kicking myself that I didn't go for a different design decision. But it's fine. It serves its purpose. It does what it needs to do, and I'm happy with it. And then of course there's the ride photo unit. These fonts are just brilliant at doing kids text and whatever. Like, it's just so playful. It's so good. I love it. That's one thing actually Frontier have done. I kind of hope we get some extra fonts, because you've only got the 3 to choose from. Well, you've got the 2 to choose from, but you've got 2 variants of the one, right? You've got the lowercase and uppercase. So I kind of hope that, just like Planet Zoo, we end up with some different font styles. But for now, these are so cool. I love it. It's amazing. And then of course, just making this area feel like it's a coherent area. Like I didn't want this to feel like it was tucked on. I do definitely want it to feel like it was designed all at the same time. And I think I've managed to do that. And like I say, we don't poke holes at scale. Like, so why Plomplepop's house is a mansion compared to the street, we don't point holes in that. We just don't point that out. It doesn't need to. It just needs to be there. Likewise with the garden shed. Why is the garden shed so big? It doesn't matter. It's all for fun. It's all kids. But it all fits quite nicely into the space that we've got here, right? And this is how the Plomplepop area looks from the top. And I think we do have scope to develop this into future Plomplepop lands or future Plomplepop stuff. As I said, I've got visions of a gummy-based roller coaster that would probably fit quite nicely in this kind of space, where I could have a path coming through here. You could have a separate entrance and all sorts. But as I said, that is a future thing, because I don't even know if the series will last that long, because you guys might get bored with it by then. So thank you so much for getting to the end of this episode. As always, appreciate you. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, etc. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye bye.